Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you all to the CEO Talk. This is a startup special edition. So I have lovely CEOs from one of the upcoming big startups of the country. I'm very happy to host this session. My name is Muthu, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. I own a brand called Crumbles, and I make nutritious biscuits out of it. So this session is we're going to discuss about how the tech advantage is helping to reset the growth of the business and the talk. So this session is by the talk. So the talk offers a very powerful platform for powerful and meaningful business relationships amongst the businesses in India. This event is brought to you by Tata Tele Business Services. They are the country's leading enabler of connectivity and collaboration solutions. They offer services ranging from connectivity, collaboration, cloud security, iOS, IoT, and marketing solutions for the businesses in India. And they're also the country's leading provider of ICT services for the businesses. I would like to start today's session by introducing the lovely panelists who have joined with us today. Now, I know this is a virtual session, but let us give a good round of applause as I introduce the speakers so that we have a good energy flowing inside the room. I would like to start by introducing Mr. Aditya Verma, founder and CEO of the Office Pass. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining with us. We also have Mr. Jagat Iyer, founder and CEO of Vidphone. Welcome, Mr. Jagat. Very happy to have you here. We also have Mr. Anmol Gupta, founder, Seven Prosper. Welcome, Mr. Anmol. We also have Mr. Prashant Shah, co-founder, Stratvisors Healthcare Private Limited. Welcome, Mr. Prashant. So we are also expecting the presence of Mr. Shamik Guha, co-founder and CEO of Altor, who will be joining with us very shortly. And at this juncture, it gives me big happiness in inviting this man, Mr. Kshitish Vaidya, General Manager, SME Direct Sales Enterprise, Tata Tele Business Services.
Hi, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Kshitish, for joining with us today. I would like to pass on the mic to you to give away a welcome note for today's session. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be back with the talk session again, and nice to have such luminaries of startup founders with us today. First and foremost, definitely would want to wish everybody very healthy and wealthy this year, this financial year, because we are just at the start of it, and both are required to sustain as well as from a healthy lifestyle as well. So wish you all and your family members a good well-being for this financial year and years ahead as well. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for the session, and it has been our endeavor to engage with and nurture startups and startup ecosystems in the country. And in the effort we have been driving, we are a telecom service provider, but we have been engaging with startups for a long time now. And we work with them, along with them, and it helps us to really learn from them as well, because the needs of telecoms are changing. As we now know that for last 1 year, everybody has been working from home, and our product portfolio has now taken a complete shift. Though we were traditionally connectivity company, but definitely the connectivity forms and shapes are changing as well for us. So we learn from startups as well as we want to give it back to them. So that's where we are associated with this particular platform. With this, I will welcome you once again, all of you, and all the best for this years ahead. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kshitish, for that lovely welcome address. Yes, let us quickly jump on to today's planned discussion round. So we are going to discuss on the theme Reset to Grow with Tech Advantage. So, before we start, I would like to, brief about what we're going to do. So this is going to be a full-length panel discussion round. I have a set of questions, and I would love to understand the perspectives of the same from each and every one of you. So we are going to discuss about how technology, is helping the businesses to grow, especially during this tough times like the pandemic. And one thing which I would like to, insist is this is a time-bound session. So kindly have your answers a little crisp so that, we have five speakers here. We give equal chances to everyone, to speak and to get to hear from them. The first two questions are going to be very generic questions. So kindly do not take more than 90 seconds for those questions. 90 seconds could be the maximum time. Do not exceed 90 seconds for the first two questions, since it's going to be very generic. So moving forward, you can have like, a couple of minutes for each of your answers so that no one feels like left out. Let's all have a good engagement throughout the session. I see a different sectors of businesses coming up. So I think I can have a good time in having it here. So let me start by my first question. So I hope you all remember the scenario of what happened last year, the same time, right? So the country went on for the first lockdown, and I still remember a lot of my friends telling to me, especially the ones who were celebrating their birthday in August. They were very confident that the things are going to be fine by August, and let us all come out during this month of August. But August went, New Year came in, and again we are here at the first year of this pandemic. But I don't think so. There is any improvement of the scenario. On the flip side, the entire country is facing a lot of difficulties. But during this entire 1 year, which has been a roller coaster for all of us, the one thing that has been constantly changing is the very change itself, right? So there has been a complete change in almost everything, from the way we walk, from the way we, there is a new inevitable attire, which is a face mask. Earlier we never used face mask, and I don't remember using face mask at any circumstances. But we are all adopting to the so-called new normal, right? So is our business changing, right? So our business is changing. The way we do business is all changing than it was supposed to be before. So my first question for today, the first round, it is going to be very simple and straightforward question. The business is changing. How is your business responding to the change? Right? As I told you, this is going to be a generic round. Kindly do not exceed 90 seconds. I would like to start with Mr. Aditya. Over to you. So please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the first opportunity. I think business has dramatically changed over the last 12 months period for us. We are in the co-working space. So essentially, our business is to provide office and office related services to mid and large size companies. And as you can imagine, that once state or center lockdown gets announced, right, the office business completely gets disrupted. Since this was kind of unanticipated, we did not know for the first 3-4 months in terms of how to respond to that situation. But we used the last 1 year to make a lot of internal changes, which are currently becoming very handy for us as we get into the second wave of the pandemic. I would just say that we are far better prepared now than we were 1 year back in managing the situation. Happy to go into the details in the subsequent question and answer session.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aditya. Can I have a word from Mr. Anmol?
Yeah, sure. So for us specifically, it has been all positives because we didn't have any offline operations anyway, even before the pandemic. And post the pandemic, we got the flexibility to move to our hometowns. All of our team members moved to their hometowns, and earlier we were skeptical about how productive it would be, but it has been actually very productive. So that's also not an issue. So at employee level also, a lot of costs are cut down, because when they're living in a metro like Bangalore or Mumbai, right, they have to incur a lot of costs just for living in that particular city, and still they are far from their hometown. So that has been one very positive. So we are embracing that change. We are adopting to that change. Even before the second wave hit us, we had prepared ourselves to continue working from home forever. So that has been our takeaway.
All right. Wonderful, Mr. Anmol. I love your preparedness. Let me quickly ask with Mr. Jagat. Over to you.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. So, we were probably one of India's first video conferencing companies, been working since 2016. Last year was a different kind of time, right? I think when you have companies like Microsoft, Google, and Zoom, directly dumping free product on you, definitely you go back into your drawing board. And today we are probably one of the fastest growing remote work platforms. So we basically have the virtual office, which is probably the only solution today for knowledge workers to continue working. So, it's been really, really constructive for us, and good to see Shamik, good friend of mine. Over to you guys. Thanks.
Wonderful. So I think a lot of tech companies are having a really good time during this pandemic. And I literally, had one of the participants in an episode who really said that she enjoyed the pandemic because her business was flourishing. Right. So wonderful. So let me ask with Mr. Prashant. Prashant, over to you.
Hey, hi. So I would like to quote Robin Sharma here. So that all change is hard at first, it's messy in the middle and gorgeous at the end. But the problem is, what is the end? We don't know. So, but still, I am from the healthcare side. Our projects have been doing good. It has been on the positive side. Lot of awareness, and I would say the way of working have changed on the positive note. Especially people like Aditya, like co-working space. People are taking it differently. Rather than working from home, now they're switching to some closer co-working space near their house to avoid the trouble to the homemakers. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Great, Mr. Prashant. And I think the medical industry is something that is really, really doing good during this pandemic. And yes, I have Mr. Shamik Guha, our handsome co-founder and CEO of Altor, finally with us. Welcome, Mr. Shamik. We missed you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Pleasure having you here. Yes,
First-
Shamik, we were talking on the business is changing and how is your business responding to the change. And I would love to have your response to that.
Sure, man. Firstly, like my apologies, was stuck with something, so I'm a little bit late. Apologies on that. But yeah, I mean, before we even start out, I would just like to give a big shout out to all of us present here. And like, we all have been fighting through such a huge deal. I mean, it's been an insane 1 year. That, let's just put it that way. I think that's the simplest way to describe it. It's been an insane year in every possible way. So for all of us who have been, struggling to keep the team intact, keep the personnel focused, keep the supplies intact, the product intact, it's been a mammoth year for all of us, definitely. So big shout out to all of you present here, and a very good afternoon. It's so good that people are still fighting up. We are putting up this fight for the community, for us, for our startups. It's great to see. Yeah, on a personal note, I mean, I would really echo with kind of what all of you said. So, because all of you are so experienced also in this field, I'm sure there are some common experiences that all the startups have faced, and we also have faced, right? So initially, it was all ki kya kare, what's going to happen, what's the scenario like, how will it be tackled? We haven't seen anything like this. Let's be fair. The last time the world saw a pandemic of this order, it's in 1919, 1920, in that era. So people were very flustered, similar with us. We, as a young tech startup, we had thankfully, by grace of God, we had closed our funding just before the pandemic and the lockdowns started out. So we had sufficient cash in hand. That was a huge, huge blessing at that point of time. I would like to use the word blessing because we heard many stories of many startups who, by stroke of luck, it's been not because of any fault of theirs, but just by a stroke of luck, probably their funding plan and everything was 3-4 months later, and all of it got stopped. So first point, thankfully we had enough cash in hand. The challenge is insane was to keep the team intact, because we are a hardware startup and we don't have the luxury always of working from home, which the software startups do have. So we had to get our team sorted out. We made sure that the office space is maintained in such a way that the hardware team especially, can stay there and work. Because one of the challenge was to stop the infection from going to the families. See, we as young people, 24, 25-year-olds, we know that if we stay together in probably one room or one office space, we can deal with things on our own. But the primary challenge was to stop it from going to the families. Now that becomes a very huge burden on the company as well. So we made sure everything is there in office. People can stay, people can take care of themselves. All the safety standards and protocols were followed. And we really got a good time to, get back to the drawing board and make some great changes in the product, which otherwise we probably wouldn't have been able to do had the normal flow continued of the world. So yeah, it's been the most enriching experience in one line, if I have to put it the last
All
one.
right. Thank you so much, Mr. Shamik. That was, a pretty mixed input round, I should say. As I told you, this entire pandemic, the effect of the pandemic has been industry specific. So even today, in this panel discussion, I see a few companies who really do well, and there are companies who are, kind of hit bad during this entire pandemic. And I think we'll be all discussing more and more pretty intense in the further rounds to come. And at this juncture, as I was told you, the one thing that was never changing is the change itself. So there are a lot of strategies we'll be implementing in our businesses post the COVID era. So I would like to ask you one or two key changes that you have made on priority with respect to your business, on improvising your business. One or two key changes that you've done. I would again like to start with Mr. Aditya. Over to you.
Yeah, as I mentioned, you see in the co-working industry, initial phases of the industry, we used to attract a lot of freelancers and a lot of very, very small companies, right? That is how they were the early adapters to the co-working. So it was naturally for us to target those companies because they were the lower hanging fruit for us. But during the pandemic, what we found was that if you did the analysis of people who kind of churned out from your portfolio, you saw that almost 79% of the companies which churned out
Aditya, are you with us? I seem like this connection is quite disturbed.
And our definition was able to be that companies have been existence for at least 3 to 5 years. They may be a startup, but they may be a traditional company. That is one change that we got. The second change was that we started automating a lot of processes which earlier were completely mechanical. We took that things which were taking a lot of time and money from the company side. And we started that ways wherein we can pick up each of these processes and see whether we can do automation of technology. We can either bring the time cycle down or we can bring the cost to bring that thing down or the effort which is involved in the process. I think these are the broadly main changes that we want to last chapter.
Right. So I think your voice has to be a little improvised, I think, because we're not able to hear you very clearly. So maybe in the upcoming rounds, if you can just check on it, we'll be very glad to know that. Yes, let me quickly bring in Mr. Anmol at this juncture and ask him about the same. Over to you, Anmol.
Yeah, sure. So for us, it has not been a lot of changes, and for us, the transition has been pretty smooth. If I have to point out a couple of changes, though the very minor ones, first was definitely just managing the logistics of transferring the systems to our employees' home, and that was an easy part that had to be done. Nothing major in that. Second was giving the employees flexibility to work at their own hours when they are working from home, because when they are working from home, you have to respect the fact that they might get engaged in some household chores as well, right? So you can't really have maybe half an hour, 1 hour lunch break. So we officially made it. Made a rule that even if you have to take a 2 hours break during the day, it's just fine, because yeah, some people are living, and especially at that point of time when the lockdown was a very strict one in the first 3-4 months, right? A lot of people were stuck at their homes and they had to take care of all the household chores as well, right? So working at the normal office hours, at which we were working in the office, was just not possible. So that flexibility had to be given. and accordingly work had to be and meetings had to be adjusted.
All right, wonderful, Mr. Anmol. Yes, I think I can ask Mr. Kshitish as well. So, one or two changes that you would like to implement on your business?
For us, our organization, being a telecom company ourselves, we have to go through a huge transformation in terms of looking at, because we have a huge workforce, not only on the field, but also which was office stuck workforce, which has started working from home. So our organization did a lot of initial investments in the hardware, which was to be provided at the customer, at individual homes. That was one important thing which we did. A completely new hardware to all the employees, because then your starting point is taken care of. Otherwise, you keep on struggling with multiple brands and multiple stock issues and so on and so forth. The other part is definitely we ourselves started wearing work from home apparels for how do you use meetings, etiquettes, and all those things, so that we can expect our customers to also adopt to those changes. There are a couple of product innovations we started. We also introduced a lot of product innovations in our company because our customers' requirements keep changing. Because everybody started experimenting in the initial stage, and then they found their feet on the ground. So we also went through a lot of product innovation rounds for us to adapt to the requirements which the SMEs, large enterprises, medium enterprises were seeking from us. So these are the broad changes what I can highlight. Definitely there are tons of others, but these are the prominent ones.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kshitish. Product innovation is definitely required for all the industry, I believe, right? Moving forward, there has to be something new for the audience to be offered. Let me bring in Mr. Jagat at this juncture. Let me quickly ask him his opinion.
I think kind of changes, two main changes, I would say. And I mean, one is, of course, company culture. We have always been used to, sitting with our team. We were also at, NASCOM 10,000 startups where we're sitting with 60 startups. And there's always innovation and ideas, right? So when you're suddenly in a 10 by 10 or a 20 by 10, it's a little different. So company culture is a big deal. We've had to work a fair amount. Luckily, we are a remote first company. We've always been. We have raised our first round of funding as well from folks at Harvard, Google, KPMG, all remote, right? We never met them. But more importantly, I think I second what Kshitish was saying. I think it's all about product-led innovation. These times allow you to be creative, and we, along with, let's say, Teams, Google Meet, we were all offering browser-based conferencing. Scheduled meetings and webinars was the order of the day in 2020. But remote work, unfortunately, is broken still, right? Remote sales is still a challenge. Remote teams are a real tough. It's really difficult to have that. So today our products evolved. Today we are the virtual office, first of its kind in the world, where employees and customers have a hub where they can really come and hang out. Much they hang out like they hang out in the office, right? So I think these are the two ways. It was very positive for us. Again, I'm not saying all is rosy. It is very sad to see all the deaths. But for some companies, I think remote first video, there are some advantages. But really, I wouldn't say that everything is all happy. It's definitely difficult to be happy when there's so many deaths around you. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Well said, Jagat. Let me quickly ask Mr. Prashant at the juncture. Over to you, Mr. Prashant.
So what we did is our preliminary 3 months goal was health first, business was secondary. So we focused primary 3 months only to settle our own houses. And of course, more challenging, not only for the business side, but also for people at home to accept us at home was tough. So I believe that is where people like Aditya providing co-working space, Jagat providing remote working space helped us. But kudos to the home members who allowed us to stay at home, speaking loud on calls, full day and evening. They're helping us day and night. So kudos to them. And yes, culture change was a very drastic change. And this culture change was across the stakeholders, not only our own employees, but also our customers and our vendors, and even so in my case, investors. Very tough to align all the stakeholders because everyone have their own priorities. Health is first. So, but yes, culture, it evolved slowly, and now I think we are settled. So we feel we are settled. That's it.
Right. So health first for the employees. That is, that is definitely a right move, I should say. And I would like to end up this round with Mr. Shamik. Over to you, Mr. Shamik.
Hi. So, of course, the changes have been many, to be simply put. Like there are many changes, but to bring down to one or two, I would agree that the cultural change has been the most significant one. The cultural change inside the office. So, what we have decided is for the whole software teams, we would be continuing work from home for a very long time in near future also, because that really works out very well for the organization to get less people in office. So, yeah, point change number one, software team work from home, that's for sure. And secondly, for the hardware team that we are planning to do is, of course, we are already ensuring a lot better sanitization facilities and proper measures inside the office. It's really good now. I think with the COVID, we have understood that basic safety and sanitization is very important. So we are ensuring and putting more focus on that for the teams that are in office. So yeah, primarily these two are the changes.
So that I think there has been, what I could understand from all of the speakers. What I would like to conclude from this set of round is one of the major changes that we need to implement in an organization is number one, the change in culture, just like how Jagat said. So the way the entire business is running has been completely changed, especially in the Indian markets, where the face-to-face interaction is very important. And given in that circumstances, a remote working culture has been implemented. So we need to give in the maximum compatibility and the maximum comfort for both the clients and the colleagues for a good experience in the virtual gathering. And I also would like to highlight what Kshitish sir rightly mentioned. The product innovation is really, really important. And it is, as a matter of fact, it is mandatory. Everyone wants something new, and maybe cost also comes into play at this junction. So there has been there has been a lot of changes that has to be implemented, and I think again, like how Prashant has said, health of the employees is again very, very important. So we are talking on how the check advantage is helping the business reset the growth, and one of the interesting things that happened in this pandemic is the work from home culture, right? So before this pandemic, there has been a huge debate whether this model is going to work out or not, right? So we were all debating about the feasibility of this working model, whether the staff would be comfortable or would be really productive. So there has been a lot of debate. But after pandemic, just look around us. Every other company is working from home, right? So any company, no matter whether it's small, medium, or large, every company is starting to work from home, and they are pretty comfortable with that, right? I don't see they face any challenges. As a matter of fact, they're very happy that they don't have to pay off a lot of overheads. So I think that is one good thing for the corporates. So on the other side, it has its own pros and cons. But in this round, we're going to do something very interesting. I'm going to ask you a very simple, straightforward question. For your business, what type of a work model is going to work out? Is it going to be an office model? Is it going to be work from home, or is it going to be a hybrid model? But instead of voicing out our opinions, let us do something very interesting. I think we're all very young and dynamic. We all had some good memories in the college. I think we have all played dumpster. So I think we're gonna do a little action in this round instead of voicing out. So if you think that the office model is going to work for you, give me a left thumbs up. If you think that the work from home is going to work for you, give me a right thumbs up. And if it is going to be a hybrid, give me a namaste. So which model is going to work for you? All right. So it is all namaste except Anmol. I presume Anmol wants office model, right, Anmol?
No, work from home.
Okay, work from home is opposite kind of reflected. Right, so work from home for Anmol and otherwise hybrid. So very interesting fact which I would like to share here is I have been doing these episodes for the last 90 days or so, and almost almost 95% of the entrepreneurs suggest or feel that hybrid model is going to be the future of all the businesses in the days to come. Right. So quite interesting stuff. Let's see how the hybrid model is going to take over our Indian culture and the industry. And yes, let's quickly move on to the next round. Let's just admit one thing. This technology has always been there. What pandemic made was to, made us to embrace those technologies quicker than it was supposed to be, right? Let's just, rewind ourselves. Even before pandemic, we had Zoom. Even pandemic, we had Skype. There was Teams, there were Google Meet, there were everything even before the pandemic. Let's come to the delegation softwares like we have Slack. I see a lot of companies using Slack to delegate the works to the employees. So all these softwares have already been there into existence, but this pandemic has made us to embrace those technologies quicker. We're talking about which, gentlemen, I would like to understand from you, what kind of technology adoption did you make during the pandemic to ensure business continuity? Would again like to start with Mr. Aditya. Sir, over to you.
Yeah, so multiple technology changes that you brought about over the last 1 year period. I think I'll just highlight a few significant ones. You see, since we are in a co-working space and as part of the product offering, there is internet facility that we provide to people. So there was always a guideline from the government of India that in case there is an abuse of the internet facility, the operator will be responsible for providing details of the abusing party. Before the pandemic, we had not put in any system in place, or we had an offline system in place to do what we described as a KYC for all our customers. Right? What the pandemic allowed us to do was that we converted that entire process into an online process. So not only did the KYC timeline reduced from 3 to 4 days before the pandemic to about 15 minutes as it is now, but it also helps us in archiving the data of the people whom we onboard so that it can be presented out to the relevant government authorities as and when it is required. So this was a small change. Secondly, for booking of the co-working spaces, we had a completely offline model, right? What we utilized the time that we had during the pandemic to convert this entire process into online process. So today you can book a seat or a desk in any of our offices, sitting in the comfort of wherever you are, right? Without any manual intervention or without even having the need to speak with anybody from office staff. So although if required, that assistance is made available, but today that entire process can be done in a completely automated manner in a significantly lesser period of time than what we used to do before the pandemic. And there are multiple such changes that we brought about over the last 1 year period.
All right. Wonderful, Mr. Aditya. Can we quickly ask Mr. Anmol or the same?
So for us, there's been just one small change. We were using all sorts of technology tools anyway, even before the pandemic, or because all our operations and even the software development, everything was being done through some online tools or already set up online processes. The one change has been using Google Meet or Zoom more often than not, and especially I like the fact that now I don't have to spend my 2 hours in Bangalore's traffic to just go for a 45 minutes meeting. So that is something which everyone has started embracing, that for a meeting for which you needed to meet physically, that those sorts of meeting can be done online as well. So as simple as it might sound, having online meetings has been a very big benefit for us. It has saved us a lot of time.
Very true, very true. And it also has cut short the boundaries as well. Just imagine, we're all in different cities right now. This online app, video conferencing apps have completely taken away the boundaries. Now I can sit comfortably at my home and do a video conferencing with someone in Delhi or even a different country, right?
And as other people also pointed out, you can have talent from across the country now, or even across the world, right? So
exactly.
If someone's sitting in a tier 3 or tier 4 town, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
You can have
wonderful example. So let me quickly ask Jagat.
Well, we are also a video communications company. Uh, we're very bullish about video anyway. I mean, we probably launched India's first video chat app in 2016. This is before Google Duo, and I've always been bullish. It had to happen. Like you said, the pandemic expedited this whole adoption. But to look at what tools we use, last year was very revealing to us because uh, scheduled meetings and webinars do not kind of reflect how business happens. This is the big problem. Business happens over coffee cooler conversations, random meetings with customers or with teams where you actually have ideas and you get customer requests, etc. Today, when you look at scheduled meetings alone, you just think about it. You cannot connect with a business in video today. Only the business can send you a link, and it's absurd. You cannot have business going on this way. So it made us really get to the roots of remote work, video. And today, of course, ours is a very evolved platform. I personally use Vidphone probably 99% of my time. uh, I very rarely get on to Zoom. I mean, because you send me the link, I get in, but I never get into Zoom. I never get into Google Meet because we have been there probably ahead of them. We care about our security, and I don't like sending links all the time. Vidphone.me/Jagat is my virtual office, just like my phone number, email address. You can connect with me. So we use Vidphone a lot for webinars, conferencing. We have a virtual office that we don't even need to keep sending links. We are sitting sitting next to each other, and I go tap on him. He joins my room, joins my meeting. So the real technology that we use, I mean, without just trying to do a lot of self promotion, is Vidphone, because that's how we have kind of evolved this. We have always been using Asana since probably 2011, probably one of the earliest customers of Asana in India. So, it's only grown, right? So I think these two are our main tools to go to. Yeah. Thanks.
Wonderful. So an entire office online, right? Very interesting, Mr. Jagat. Just let me quickly bring in Prashant at this juncture. Over to you, Mr. Prashant.
So since we are from the consultancy and service side, the major bottleneck for us was version control, which we had in office through our LAN. But yeah, now adopting to OneDrive. Of course, OneDrive penetrated India a long time back, but still managing versions of file has been a challenge to a certain extent when there are a lot of iterations expected in terms of legal agreements and share purchase agreements and other kind of legal work. Yeah.
So OneDrive has been of a great technology adoption that Prashant has done. Just let me end this session with Mr. Shamik. Let me see if Shamik has something interesting to offer. Over to you, Mr. Shamik.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. No, actually, I'd just like to brush upon the point that you also mentioned that these things have been there previously. Like it's not something new that has come up. But the biggest change, according to me, that has happened is, see, we all understand that in order to get results, first experiments will have to be done. But every organization was somewhat reluctant in some way to go for this full-fledged experiment of work from home or something like that. But this pandemic, what this has done is it has forced us, as simple as that. It has forced every organization everywhere to just adopt this model. And now, once it's adopted, everyone sees the benefit of it. The big brands, the companies, the giants, they see, that they have to spend less on overheads. Things are getting done pretty easily and smoothly. I think almost all players like Microsoft, starting from Microsoft to very recently, I was reading an article by the Zerodha founder. He also mentioned that he's seeing this as a future thing where these big brands are slowly moving their entire workforce to work from home, and that really saves the cities a lot. The cities where they were operational, it takes a lot of pressure from the resources in that city and stuff. It's been a very healthy experience in that sort for us. Yeah, we have also definitely loved this whole experience, and that's why we are considering a hybrid model. I mean, I kind of feel a little bit jealous about Anmol. I would have loved to get the whole team from work from home, but it's not possible, like, because there is hardware into it as well. But a hybrid model, as you mentioned, works the best, I think, for most companies out here. That is how we are seeing the future, that's for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Shamik. And, as I was telling, this entire technology has always been existing. Now I see a lot of implementations in the technology. For example, let's take Jagat here. So he was talking about the Vidphone. If someone has talked to you about setting up an entire office virtually, at least before last year, no one would have really thought of it as a good idea, right? So it could have been just a joke, but look at how the situations have changed. And I think this is the right time to bring in Kshitish here, because he has been enjoying this panel discussion right from the first minute. So for all the answers, he's having a good smile on his face. So if he comes across something interesting, so Mr. Kshitish, I would like to understand from you, how is technology changing the way we do business?
So why I've been enjoying is because I'm able to relate to you, all the panelists who are here, because I've been working with Tata Tele in various roles, large enterprise. I used to head large enterprise. I manage business development, and I work closely with the startup ecosystem as well. And when I interact, and I'm able to relate to each and every word which you guys are saying, and the challenges and the nimbleness to find solutions to challenges, and setting things right, and definitely the difficulty of managing financials and other stuff. So I relate because I hear this, I connect with my customers that way. Having said that, I'll give you one example, and that will throw more light on, and that's nothing new about it, but it will give us some food for thought as well. We are a telecom company, and we used to sell data pipes and voice parts, and sell it in tons, in the sense large capacities to large customers. Even if it's a startup, because the startup itself is a tech company, they used to take large pipes as well. But just see, and in this journey, prior to this, our roots were in creating broadband and phone line connections at home. Those were the roots of this company when we started. And over a period of time, morphed into a large enterprise business and carrier business, and so on and so forth. Now, just imagine what pandemic has done. It has completely changed, because earlier we used to sell to large campuses, tons of data pipes. Suddenly, now it is again distributed, right? The requirement has dynamically changed, and now the pipes are required in small chunks, small chassis, at individual residences, right? Definitely voice, you can say theoretically it is free because it is rides on data or whatever that is free now as such. But voice, again, it is coming up into who was thinking about phone lines at home, but suddenly people are inquiring about, I need a phone line at home because mobile is there, but I need a phone line at home. Now, that puts us completely, our thought process in TZ. So example is, why I brought this example is because this has changed the dynamics. Earlier, the call center business was a big business for us, right? And we used to sell big pipes to call centers as well from a data as well as voice perspective. Now the agent is sitting at home. Now the call centers are demanding that you do allow me to connect to my agent sitting at the home in the same secured manner, the way you connected me, and give me same compliances and all that. Aditya brought in a piece of compliance, and compliance for us to deal with compliance is very important, because we get every 7 days there is a sword hanging on our head on compliance from the regulatory side of it, and we have supposed to do a lot of evidences, collect from the customer, give it to the regulatory, and so on and so forth. And just see how compliance changes, because earlier it was dealing with company. Now the company, you're dealing with the company, but company's employees sitting at home, and you have to collect evidences from those type of system as well. Technology is dynamically changes. It is. I think so. It has come all the way back, but it has come in a different avatar, right? For us to really manage the change, and I think so. Definitely, it would be the similar for you guys as well, as you are doing your own businesses.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kshitish. I love the way your enthusiasm is. I think it's really, really contagious. And I'm very glad that you can relate to a lot of situations for what the speakers are talking. So as we are talking about the adoption of the digital technology, living apart Jagat aside, I think Jagat has been manifesting his entire life on this, how to do something digital or techie. But I think even Jagat will agree to this point. While adopting to this digital normal, there were a lot of challenges. If I'm not wrong, I think even the techie companies will definitely agree to the fact, at least in the initial stages. So talking about which, I would like to understand from you, gentlemen, what were some of the biggest challenges while adopting to the digital norm? Right? I'd like to start again with Mr. Aditya. Over to you.
Yeah, I think the challenges come when there is less buy-in from the stakeholders within the organization. So I think before you adapt, or before you say that we will be a technology-driven company, there needs to be a consensus within the company that technology is important to grow the business, and there is no escape from it. In my opinion, one should spend as much time as possible in deliberating this within before you start to implement. If you just rush with the theme that technology needs to be adapted, right? There may be a lot of pitfalls because the people who have to implement that may not be on board with what you are trying to do. So we kind of utilize that initial period of the last year from March till about September in determining that if this thing were to repeat and our assessment actually came true, that we are not only having a repeat of the situation, but it is getting repeated in a much more amplified manner, right? So there was a consensus that we brought about within the organization that we will look at each process. And as I mentioned in my initial submission, that we basically evaluate the various technological changes from the point of view that it should either bring in reduction in time, or it should bring in a reduction in the effort, or we should be able to do the same activity in a much more economical manner. So reduction in the cost. So now there is kind of consensus within the company that once any of these three filters, the problem qualifies any of these three filters, we will go and address that problem. So I think we should not be saying that we have a strategy to be a technology company. In fact, technology should be part of every strategy that you have in the company. So that's my submission.
All right, Mr. Aditya. Let me ask Mr. Anmol regarding the same.
Yeah. So I'll speak very specific to our business. So our business has been financial services business, and this business predominantly has been driven by agents. And when I say that it's being driven by agents, then there's a factor of trust which comes into play. So people have traditionally dealt with their insurance agents or mutual fund agents or their maybe stock brokers in order to take any kind of advisory or planning services. Now, our objective has been since the start to make quality financial planning and investment advisory service affordable to the masses, and technology has been at the very core of our business. And when we use technology in our business, we tend to eliminate all the human-driven processes. We did that, we eliminated 100% of the human processes, but then we realized that the trust factor between the trust that a human places on another human, we are not at the stage where that trust can be replaced by technology yet. So we had to change our business model to make it like 80% tech driven and 20% still human driven. There has to be an interface between our technology and the customer that we are catering to. So practically, I mean, technically, we can transform 100% of our business with technology. We can make our operations 100% automated, but the customer side of our business is not yet ready for to deal with 100% technological solutions yet. So yes, yeah, for that we are spreading the awareness and increasing financial literacy. So there are still a few years to go when we replace entire operations with 100% technology.
All right, Mr. I think, Mr. Jagat, I'm very, very excited to hear from you. I just want to understand what were the difficulties from your end. What is Jagat?
Well, $2 trillion competition is pretty difficult. When you have Google and Microsoft at you, and the thing is that there is no pricing on the product. You know, when it's a free product being dumped on the market, that's a lot of challenge for us. Though we believe we were in the right space, definitely hyper competition is an issue, specifically in our case. I think I would slightly disagree with Amol's point, right? I've been 2 years ago, I was talking to one of the largest car manufacturers in the world, and I was telling them that you will be selling your cars on video chat. Today, I'm very happy to say that the fourth largest car manufacturer is a paying customer, and they sell cars completely on video chat. I'm also telling you that I've also been in touch with HDFC Life, some other large financial players here. And I think the change is going to happen faster than you will imagine, where, I call it the face business, right? Video chat is the face business. Before it was all about your logo. Today it's about your face. And once we get that change in, be it video KYC, be it in KYC processes where there is, video authentication, be it video banking, video agents. So all of these are happening. And I think the biggest challenge for us definitely has been rallying this adoption at a faster rate. It takes a pandemic of such extent to let people use video chat. It's absurd sometimes. But yeah, it has been challenging, but I would say these are good problems to have for us.
Wonderful. Excellent. Jagat, just let me hear from Mr. Prashant.
So since I'm an investment banker from a investor and a promoter perspective, so three critical challenges what we really faced. One is on the negotiation side. So the negotiation what we have face to face is little difficult what we have virtual, especially between the promoter and the investor, for example. That is a critical challenge. Second is as Jagat said, there is hyper competition, hyper flooding of products, hyper flooding of information. So the clients tends to, I am speaking from an overall startup perspectives, not from our business specifically. So retaining a client has been difficult. So because they see some new product, they don't think twice before switching. For him, it's just making a user ID password switch straight. Be it working space, be it physical, virtual, but the change is constant, as you said. But from an organic business perspective, it's tough to retain guys. Third, from an business operations perspective, what we are facing challenge for our portfolio company is the kind of pedigree of people what we have. All the employees may not have same pedigree, right? So for them, work from home is a leisure. They may not do as sincerely. So the pedigree of people, identifying the right pedigree has been a challenge. So so these are the three critical challenges from my end.
Right, Mr. Prashant. It seems to be quite a little complicated out there. But let me see if Shamik has something interesting to offer. Mr. Shamik, can I ask the same question to you?
Yeah, sure. So the list of challenges would be pretty long, I must say that, to start out with. It's been something the last year. So yeah, the primary, of course, issues have been in terms of, as I mentioned, that because we are a physical product, there's an actual physical product we are involved with. So procurement of components, getting supplies in, that has been a primary issue, at least for right up till September or August last year. So because all sorts of because of the India-China clash and several other issues that have kind of ruined the circuit even more. It already was in pretty bad shape, but things even got more cluttered because of that. So that has been a huge major issue, and of course we can't deny. Like I would agree with Prashant when he said that for the clients also, not just they had more options, but their priorities changed drastically, and they can't be blamed for that. It's a changed environment. It's a changed set of requirements for them. What was a priority before slowly moved to not being a priority anymore because something more basic had to be taken care of from their side. So many of these changes actually delayed things a lot. We changed our models, to tweak in and find something out. Of course, it brought in, new problems to which are good to have, as Jagat correctly mentioned. So we found out more and more demographics where, people actually are getting to save by this work from home model. So the saving side of a certain demographics is increasing. So if targeted properly, that sector could give us great results, and we succeeded in that. So these are the as like has been pointed out, I think, by someone in the initial few minutes, that innovation is the key. We constantly have to innovate. There has to be new ways you find out to find how you can fit in. Yeah.
So innovation is the key. How Shamik had concluded. Now we have 7 minutes left of the clock. Let us quickly, quick up a little things. I would like to, one thing that unites us as the entrepreneurs. We've been talking about the challenges so far, but I think everyone will be agreeing to me when I say that one thing that unites us as entrepreneurs is the ability to think a solution from problem. Right? We as an entrepreneur are always problem solvers. No matter what the hurdle comes in front of us, we always look for what next. How can I solve this? How can I come out of it? These are the thoughts that come into our head. So we were talking about the challenges, and at this juncture, I would quickly like to understand from you all, what can be an enterprise solution to increase your business productivity? Over to you, Mr. Aditya.
What would be enterprise solution is very difficult for me to say, because typically once we look at own business and the resources, in case there is a need to make changes and we have the resources available, we essentially put those resources to ensure that some of the gaps that we currently have in our processes, they get plugged. But one is always on the reach out for solutions related to the problems that one has, and we basically respond to any support that companies are able to offer. For that, I think not much has happened, because the interactions over the last 6 months have been pretty. So all the changes that we have been brought about were changes that we identified and resolved internally. Currently, haven't been able to seek support from outside. I think as the pandemic unfolds, and it is an animal which is yet to be fully discovered. So current focus in the organization is to stay lean and mean, and basically look out for solutions subsequently once there is a clear visibility in terms of how the external environment is going to play out.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aditya. Let me quickly, a shuffle between the participants here. Let me bring in Shamik. Shamik, are you with us? Yes, Shamik.
Yeah. So, as Aditya sir correctly mentioned, so I would focus on two major points that, as solutions. Firstly, we should be very aware of the fact that whatever is the situation now, we are not sure yet what's going to happen, how things are going to pan out. So staying lean is very important. As a startup, as a company, being flexible and, being ready to adapt to changes in case there will be some, because there will be, of course, there will be a few changes. So staying lean, point number one, and staying very, very innovative. Things can change quickly, opportunities may come up. For each one of us, I'm sure we feel it in our particular sector, that there have been, changed needs and changed scenarios. So adapting to that and, making the team adapt to that together. These are the two main things.
Wonderful. Shamik, let me ask Anmol the same. Anmol?
Yeah, I think I would agree with Shamik. You have to be lean and you have to be innovative, because you just don't know what's going to happen. So staying lean at least is very, very important at this moment.
All right. Staying lean has been of great importance to Mr. Aditya, Shamik, and Anmol. But I have a different question to ask to the remaining panelists. See, during this pandemic, as I said, this business is changing, and we as an entrepreneur, we've been putting in a lot of strategies, staying lean or product innovation or change in the culture or whatever it is. So there has been a lot of strategy implementation, and each one of the strategy would have its own hit or flops depending upon the climate and the industry. So I'd like to ask to the remaining panelists, what was that one thing, that one strategy that worked very well for your company, which you would like to share here with the others? I would like to start with the energetic Kshitish. Over to you.
Okay, thanks for that. So one thing, in fact, I'm borrowing from what earlier Aditya said as well, and Prashant said as well, and he touched upon it very well. In the initial comments, he said that accepting people at home was a very good thing for the home to really accept us. So one thing which I realized is that we all consider, and I'm going slight off track deliberately. We all consider that everybody's digital quotient is same as ours, right? That's the given thing for all of us, right? कि भैया मैं जितना समझता हूँ उतना ही कोई और समझता है, or for that matter vice versa as well. I think that's one thing which I used to take for granted. I think that this pandemic has helped me to really and make me understand that that might not be the case for my ecosystem, my suppliers, my customers as well, my employees as well. And it's very important to really bridge that gap in terms of understanding or get them all together. So even if we are launching a product, that needs to meet the common digital quotient of everybody, right? It cannot be that I'm launching a product only for a particular segment. It only makes the segment very narrower and narrower. Right? So the strategy which has worked is around that. And second thing is from one of the key challenges, which again Jagat or Anmol also mentioned from a customer interaction perspective, is for me was and for my team members. Definitely was to really have the same kind of digital hygiene and ethics which my customers would have, and reciprocate that with them, because it's very important to really display that digital hygiene and ethics with our customers. Definitely, needless to say, that the same has to be extended internally, because that you have to live that for yourself. So I think so. It was not from a technology strategy perspective, but I think so. These are the key tools I think should be built on to really make things happen for us.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kshitish. If we ask the same to Mr. Jagat.
Sorry, the question was strategies that I worked.
Yes.
Definitely, I would say our product strategy has come out on top. After 2 quarters last year, we had 600% growth in our platform. And we quickly had to think as to whether this is, the long-term, the right direction. And today, the kind of response I get, and another strategy I would say is acceptance. I was at a webinar recently where they said this is the new normal. I said it's not new anymore. It's over a year old. I think the earlier we accept this normal, we will start moving faster. I think these two things have been big, learnings for us. Yes.
Wonderful. So it is no longer the new normal. Maybe, as he rightly said, it's been a year old. And yes, finally, let me ask Prashant the same.
One important thing, since everything is becoming digital, what happens is from not only from documentation perspective, but the immutability of data. So from a blockchain perspective, because everything is digital, you don't know who is doing what and where and when was the version changed. So I believe the immutability version of data, where there is a complete log of what is done in the file, by whom and when, along with timestamp, could be the near future. Because if we are relying on remote work, the backward documentation and control from a control perspective, so this could take a lead. So blockchain could be the next wave, which has already started. But yes, it would be important from a control perspectives.
All right. The blockchain was something that that worked very well with Prashant. That I think the other companies might be of use. So I'd like to end this panel discussion with a very on a lighter note, probably an interesting question. So during this pandemic, I would like to understand from each and every one of you, what was something that you read or watched to get your business updates during this pandemic? Remember, this is going to be a rapid fire round. So kindly have your answers, not more than a word or two. I'll start.
I couldn't hear the question. Could you just come again?
What was that? What did you read or watch during this pandemic to get your business update? Yeah. So not more than 1 or 2 words. I'd like to start with Mr. Aditya. Over to you.
Yes, so did a course in digital marketing from a university in US over the last, which lasted for around 8 weeks.
All right. So something on digital marketing from Aditya Verma's side. Yes, Mr. Prashant.
I read the book Head, Heart and Guts and trying to implement the same.
All right. Head, heart, and gut. Wonderful. Mr. Jagat.
Well, WhatsApp. But on a on a lighter note, my son was born last year, 30th of March, and watching him grow up has been my biggest learning actually.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think WhatsApp is soon going to emerge as one of the biggest news offering platforms. I hope they are all very legit. Right, Mr. Shamik?
Yeah, so again, like there's been quite a few in the pipeline. I could finish a few of them, a few of the books. I completed the Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. It's an amazing book. And then of course the 0 to 1, that's been in the pipeline for a really long time.
Wow.
And yeah, there have been quite a few books that I could read, but yeah, these two stood out the most.
Wonderful.
Really helped. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, Mr. Anmol?
Actually, I had to read a lot of regulations because there were a lot of regulatory changes in our business last year. So at least 5-6 months went in just going through regulations and adopting our business model to those regulations. But I started meditating, then get a chance to read anything else.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, that's it.
Right. And yes, finally, Mr. Kshitish.
Multiple sources of information, definitely HBR online, and you can see quarterly happens to be the classic ones for me. Apart from that, Vedanta treatise is one of the books. I would say it's a study. It's just not a book to read. It's a study for lifetime to do. So that was the other thing which I picked up.
Wonderful.
Apart from others, that are important ones.
Fantastic. So with that, we come to the end of today's panel discussion round. I think the last 60 minutes, I don't really think I had a count of it. It just flew by, but it was quite interesting and informative. And I'm very sure when this recording comes on YouTube, I definitely think that the audience who's going to watch this has something to learn. I would like to quickly ask Mr. Kshitish to give away a closing remark for today's session. With that, we wind up. Over to you, Mr. Kshitish.
Thanks, Muthu. And it has been one of the most very well spent 1 hour, I would say, because normally everybody, this is one of the multiple sessions I've attended, and I think so this is one of the most interesting session we had. I thank all of you, all the leaders from respective companies and startups who have joined us, taking their time out to be on this platform, to mingle around, to talk to us, share their experiences. And the diversity was amazing, because if you see Prashant bringing in too much of the timestamp and being very critical to that particular area and finding out that that's very critical. On the other side, you have Shamik, who comes from the hardware and the software mix. On the other side, you have Jagat, who is fighting the onslaught of the Googles and the Zooms and the both sides, and you have Aditya, whose business model was co-working, was a big thing to talk about a couple of years back. Again, went through a domain. Now again, he might be seeing completely. And what the innovations he has brought on table is to really do bookings online and reservations online. And definitely to mention Anmol as well, because Anmol got in a very important piece of saying that, yeah, we are online, but I need a face to talk to as well, right? And I think so these are the very diverse stuff. And if all startups, I think so, if there's a premium to this thought process and connecting these dots, right? And I think so, as startups, we look for these stuff, saying that, okay, how can I make a story out of this? How do I connect these dots together, and I can bring something more innovative on plate for all my customers. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining in. I thank you as well as the participants who have here to really hear this. And once again, from Tata Tele Services, we thank you from all of our heart. And if you need anything, please, I'll share my contact coordinates along with my team members will be available for you. And wish you all the best, and wish a healthy, wealthy years ahead for you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kshitish. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining here with us. Until next time, on yet another interesting episode of the CEO Talk, this is me, Muthu, signing off. I would also like to thank all the participants who joined with us. And thank you once again, dear panelists. Wishing you all the best and have a fantastic week.
Thank you.
Thank you.